What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Alright, so before I get into this video, I want to give a shout out to 2 subscribers for contributing to the channel. I want to give a shout out to Joe Johnson for his double contribution to the channel. Shout out to you, Joe. You know what I'm saying? You've been a frequent contributor to this channel. And I want to also give a shout out to Aram for his contribution to the channel. And, Aram is a longtime NBA fan. His favorite NBA era is from the 70s into the 90s. And I don't blame you for that one. And the video idea that you gave me is a very good one. I will do a video about that one. I'll give a reminder of myself. I might even upload it late tonight into the early morning. I'm not sure. But I will do that one. It's a good video idea. And I want to thank you guys. I want to thank everybody that supports me on YouTube and also on the Patreon. I will do a Patreon video later on today. I've been trying to make up for my lack of activity, so to speak, the last couple of days. So, I'm saying, shout out to all you guys. Now, this video is a response to something that Shannon Sharpe has said before, and he said it again recently, and I disagree with it. The notion that today's players are bigger, faster, and stronger than ever before. Now, if you're talking about bigger and faster and stronger than 70 years ago or 50 years ago, then no, I'm not going to really argue with you there. But if you're talking about bigger and faster and stronger than players that I grew up watching, I don't agree with that. Okay? I don't agree with that at all. Now, look, the NBA keeps track of these things. Okay? As far as, I'm just going by the numbers, you know what I'm saying? Stat junkies like to go with numbers. So, I'm going to go with the numbers in this situation. Now, if you talk about the beginnings of the NBA, the 1946-47 season, back when it was actually the NBL and the BAA, then the average height back then was 6'2". But when you think about it, that's still not that short compared to, the image you have was a whole bunch of 5'4" white guys. You know what I'm saying? It's still taller than the average person in the country right now, in the world. But by 1951-52, the average height was 6'4" and 195 pounds. Now, that's not that terribly far off from the average now. Now, look, 1951-52, the average height was 6'4" and 195 pounds. The average height and weight now is 6'6" and 216 pounds. Now, of course, that's 2 inches taller and about 19 pounds heavier on average, but that's not a huge disparity. And it kept going up. By Wilt Chamberlain's first year in the NBA, 1959-1960, the average height was 6'5" and 204 pounds, right? Just an inch shorter and 12 pounds lighter than today. And then you go through the 60s, it's 6'5", then it goes to 6'6". By 1962, 1963, and the weight stays constant about 205, but the average height was about 6'6" throughout the 1970s. By 1980-81, the average height was 6'7", which is actually taller than today, which is 6'6". Okay? The average weight was 205. In fact, statistically, the biggest year in NBA history was the period of time between 2010 and 2014. And since then, players have actually been getting smaller. Why? Maybe because of their style of play. Centers aren't as important anymore. 2013-14, the average height was 6'7", weight 223. The next year, 2014-2015, height 6'7", weight 222 pounds. 2015-2016, 6'7", 221 pounds. 2016-2017, the height 6'7", weight 220 pounds. So statistically, they've been getting smaller and smaller. 2017-2018, the average height and weight 6'7", 219. Last year, the average height dropped 6'6", 217. This year, 6'6", 216, which is the smallest height-wise that we've been since 1979-1980. And the lowest weight it's been since 1998-99. So because of small ball, because of the emphasis on three-pointers, and the lack, and the increase in stretch bigs, you don't have a whole bunch of hulking centers in this NBA now because they're not going to be effective today. So the league has actually gotten smaller. Okay? It's gotten smaller. Now, as far as stronger, maybe. Okay, maybe. I'll give you that. They might be stronger. There is an increase in weightlifting and advancements in that aspect. But as I hinted at in the video earlier today, that might be a detriment to NBA players, because if you notice, a lot of these guys who are weightlifting, they seem to be getting injured more. And, I also suspect that all that weightlifting is actually detrimental to the cardio. Look, guys back in the 60s played a frenetic pace just like today, actually even faster, because those guys shot a lower percentage. So they actually were scoring even more. So they had actually more possessions. They were going even faster. But these guys were playing 40 minutes a game. Like Bob Pettit, this quote-unquote slow white guy, was playing 40 minutes a game for his career. Bill Russell was playing 42 minutes a game for his career. Wilt Chamberlain, 45 minutes a game for his career. Even when he was a hulking 315-pounder with the Lakers with a bum leg, he was still playing well over 40 minutes a game. These guys put in work. As compared to now, you have guys that are playing 29, 30, 31 minutes a game and complaining about fatigue and needing games off. Okay? So, I'm not... The only thing I will give you is maybe they are stronger, which could actually be detrimental to the game in the long run. Because a lot of times, for many, many decades, players eschewed weightlifting because they thought that it could hurt, their muscle memory as far as shooting is concerned. One thing I don't agree with is that players today are more athletic. I know where you're getting at with that one, but to me, the most athletic era was the late 90s into the 2000s, when being athletic was an advantage because defenses still hadn't been handcuffed. You needed guys that had the extra speed and extra first step to be able to get by people, to get to the basket, to be able to get through the little seams, because defenses still were, effective then. So, when I think of the 2000s, I think of Tracy McGrady, I think of Vince Carter. Think of the best players. Think of the best players back then. They weren't shooters. They were the more athletic slashers. The Tracy McGrady's, the Vince Carters, the Kobe Bryants, the Allen Iversons, the Desmond Masons, the Jason Richardsons, the Sean Marions, the young LeBron James. They wasn't focusing on shooting threes. Those were guys that were getting to the basket and slamming it on the bigs. So don't give me this bullshit about today's players are, more athletic than ever before. They're not. The stars of today are athletic to a great extent, yes. But James Harden, look at his game. Does it really scream out he can dunk over 4 people? Steph Curry, no. Klay Thompson, no. Durant's great. Durant's spectacular. But he's not the most athletic guy I've ever seen before play. He's one of the most skilled. He's one of the greatest scorers ever. But I'm talking about guys that have 40-inch vertical leaps. And, Antonio McDyess. Think about it. All the great players at that time, there was an emphasis on athleticism. As a matter of fact, the NBA was criticized. Scouts and general managers and organizations were criticized back then for the fact that they were putting athleticism ahead of guys who could actually play. Remember Darius Miles? So no, I don't buy into the notion that today's players are more athletic. Also, this from a historical precedent. The tallest players in NBA history, what era did they come from? Now or my era? Yep, my era, growing up. Manute Bol, who was 7'6" a half, I believe, and George Muresan, the tallest ever, at just a little over 7'7". And nobody has reached their heights before or since. I think the tallest player since then has been Yao Ming, who's been listed about 7'5". I think the Kings had signed some player a couple years ago that was 7'4", 7'5", but nobody's really seriously touched them. Historically speaking, the 2 tallest men in history all lived many, many, many moons ago. Okay? John Rogan of Tennessee was, at the time, the tallest man who ever lived. He was born in 1868. Okay? Born in Tennessee. Died, I believe, in 1905. He suffered from a condition where he couldn't stand, but he reached a height of 8 foot 8 inches at the time of his death. He was the tallest man in the world until he was superseded 36 years later by the Alton giant, Robert Wadlow. Robert Wadlow was only 22 years old when he died in 1941. He was 8 foot 11 inches and may have exceeded 9 inches in height when he died from an infection. I think an ankle infection based upon the fact that he had these shoes that weren't fitting poorly anymore. I think no, it wasn't the shoes. I think it was a leg brace that was poorly fitting and it caused an infection. But these are the 2 tallest men in history. Now, maybe you can make the argument that there are more 8-footers than before, but nobody has seriously, reached them or challenged them as the 2 tallest persons in history. So basically what I'm saying is this notion that everybody was a midget, everybody was a 6'4" midget back then is bullshit. It's not fucking true. Okay? It's not true. And as I've just presented to you, actually in the last few years, with the increase in small ball and the fact that the traditional center positions become more and more irrelevant, the actual size of the NBA player, the average size, is shrinking. So players are becoming smaller. So don't buy into this bullshit that they're propagating in the media about everybody being bigger, smaller, and bigger, stronger, and faster than they were just 20 years ago or 15 years ago. Is bullshit. So tell me what you guys think.